What's going on, my guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Garrett with Game by the Beach. Very excited to be here with you today because there's a new update. If you guys haven't seen, in the App Store, there is now a new update available. Let's look at it right here. Update 6.1. I wasn't even aware that this was going to be coming out, but it did come out yesterday. Have to go to the App Store, Update Store, whatever, same thing. If you guys don't have it, well, I hope everybody has it. I didn't have anything else to go from there. I hope you guys have it. I assume everybody can get it as long as you just go manually and check it out. But guys, I very, very briefly looked at what is going on in this update, and it looks really, really cool. Okay, so it's balancing changes. Okay, it's not new units, new heroes, new game modes, nothing like that. It's strictly balancing changes, which I always love, okay? Inquisitor is the strongest thing right now. We had an Engineer meta that I wasn't thrilled about. Then we had an Inquis meta, which I just think it's more fun. It's more fun to try and get to a specific number of units on a board with an Inquisitor deck rather than like Engineer deck where you're just spamming Engineers and you're literally just going Engineer, full board Engineer against full board Engineer. Not really my cup of tea. Not really my cup of coffee. Let's check out what these balancing changes are, and let's talk about our thoughts. So right here, you can see it. Update 6.1 is now available. Check out the balancing changes applied in this version. So crit changes. Okay, I haven't read much of this in detail, so let's check it out together, okay? In this version, we changed the critical damage bonus from leveling cards. The rarer the card, the bigger the bonus you get by leveling it up. The bonus for leveling common cards was very slightly reduced, but it went up significantly for rare, epic, legend, and legendary cards. Okay, so I assume there was like a discrepancy between how much crit you got from common to legendaries. That seems like a very interesting change because I feel like the people with legendary cards, does that mean they have even higher crit and the people who have more common cards have even lower crit? Not exactly sure about that. Don't know if A, it needed to be done, and B, I don't even know. It doesn't sound to me like that's in hopes that it helps free-to-play players, which I feel like that's kind of where this game needs to go. It's so RNG, it would be useful for more free-to-play players to have a better chance. But let's jump into the unit changes here. This is what I'm excited about. And you can see the #1 unit right on the top of the screen. We just had a video about it. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. But epic units, here it is. Catapult. Love Catapult. This unit shoots massive missiles that deal damage and stun monsters in a large radius. What could be better than a big rock crashing on your enemy's head? Agreed. According to our statistic, its rocks didn't fall frequently enough, so we decided to give this unit an upgrade to ensure that no one feels safe. That's very weird wording, but okay. Merge rank now increases the damage more efficiently. Blast radius is now larger. Time until next stun is 9 seconds, went from 9 seconds, now is 7 seconds. An activation interval is 5 seconds, went from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. So it attacks quicker, it can stun more often, it does more damage, and it has a bigger radius. So it'll be, dude, I'm absolutely going to try it. I just tried it in a deck. It was super fun. It actually worked relatively well as long as you had a decent amount. So now we're going to have to try it. We're definitely going to try and throw some fun decks together with a catapult. The only thing that my thought process is that it was never a damage unit. Okay, so the increased damage, I feel like, is kind of irrelevant. It did damage relevant to like a bombardier. It's a support unit. It's a stun. It's a slow, whatever you want to call it. So now it's probably closer to a bombardier. No, except it's a bigger radius, guys. I'm gonna have to try Inquis Catapult again because it worked before. Now it's even better. I'm gonna have to check that out. Probably gonna be tomorrow's video, but let's keep on going. And before we jump into the legendary units, if you guys are enjoying this video, make sure that you guys are subscribed and also check out those memberships because we got a lot of cool perks and we'd love to have you as part of our community. But let's continue on. Legendary units right away, guys. You can see Okay, these are units that are not in the meta currently. Stasis, Corsair, you can see Meteor sneaking in down there. That rhymed a little bit, I'm not sure why. Let's jump into what they did to Stasis. Despite its interesting mechanics with control spheres that stop monsters, you rarely encounter this unit in your or your enemy's decks. The sphere appeared too infrequently and didn't remain on the field long enough to stop enough enemies. I feel like Stasis did have a spot in the meta, but it could always use a buff. You could always see it more, of course. Like, you probably would see Stasis maybe 1 in 20 games. Does that sound likely? So the following changes were made in this version. Initial trap duration is now 2.5 seconds rather than 2. Trap duration boost from mana power up is now 0.4 seconds rather than 0.1 seconds. So as you power it up through mana, it's going to have a longer trap duration. Trap duration now increases with unit level as well. Cool. And leveling up the unit now decreases the attack interval more efficiently. So that just means it's going to attack quicker. I don't know why the wording. Leveling the unit up now decreases the attack interval for more efficiently. Oh, attack interval more efficiently. The attack speed's increased. No? All right. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but I feel like that could be worded better. Anyway, let's jump into Corsair, which Corsair is one of those units. I do have Corsair. It took me a while to get Corsair, especially when it first came out. And when it was really, really strong, I didn't have the card. So then when I finally got the card, it already had gotten nerfed. So maybe we're going to have to try out a Corsair deck. Who knows? Corsair, Catapult, I don't know. Let's see. Corsair. This unit uses 2 types of bombs. Simple bombs, which deal damage to enemies and grow less effective as the battle goes on. And nasty bombs. So this is what the big nerf was originally, is that the nasty bombs were a lot less effective, and I think they no longer did a percent. So the Corsair nasty bombs, which is what kept it in the meta, kept it in co-op, were no longer effective enough to keep it in the meta or in co-op. Are less effective as the target's health in... Oh, wait. As the battle goes on, and nasty bombs, which deals a percent of the target's health and damage. The latter remain effective throughout the battle, even allowing you to take down bosses. Okay. In our view, the nasty bomb mechanic needed an upgrade, so we made the following changes. It was upgraded, then they nerfed it, so now they're bringing it back at least a little bit. Simple bomb's radius is now larger. Initial chance of throwing a nasty bomb has gone from 10% to 15%. That's actually huge. That's like a 500% buff. No, it's not. It's like a 50% buff, but that's huge. Increase of a nasty bomb throw chance per level 1%, 2%. So every time you level it up, which is it must be the merge rank. Throw chance per level 1% to 2%. So pretty big buffs to Corsair too. Absolutely love this. I love this, guys. This is what we've been asking for, okay? I was tired of having the best card in the game, Engineer, Meteor, and Quiz. I don't necessarily need these cards to get nerfed. I want the bad cards to get buffed. So I think they're absolutely taking our advice, and we're going in the right direction here. Let's talk about Meteor. How many gosh darn... Okay, 3 more cards to go. Guys, they did a lot in this update, in these balancing changes, and I feel like nobody was talking about it. I didn't hear anything so this is just a really pleasant surprise. So let's talk about Meteor. The mechanics of the unit allow you to exchange merging 2 meteors for a massive rock that falls from the sky and deals huge damage. Nevertheless, there is only 1 rock and many, many enemies, so it's hard to know how effective this mechanic really was. And merging did not always allow you to launch an even more powerful meteorite. We adjusted this mechanic in the new version as follows. The blast radius is significantly greater. Now the meteor deals double damage to bosses and mini bosses. Guys, could Meteor be back? Guys, we have literally just been talking, like the last few days, we've been talking about how Inquiz is taking over. The meta is Inquiz, it's UFA's Inquiz, it's Inquiz. Corsair might be back. We'll see how Catapult is. I'm assuming it's not going to be crazy. But like Corsair at one point was the best. Meteor at one point was the best. They're bringing them back. And it'll be really, really interesting to see some people playing with different decks and maybe, guys, double damage to bosses. So the biggest thing for Meteor, again, it was similar to Corsair's Nasty Bombs. The reason it was so effective is because it was based off of a percent of the health. So you could take out like massively healthed bosses, like huge HP on a boss. A Meteor could take it out. Now it's not based on a percent, it's more based on how much damage you're already doing, and it's doubling it. So it's double damage to bosses and mini bosses. That is a rework. That is a rework right there. So it'll be interesting to see really if that's enough. Because let's see, if in like a normal wave, you know, you might have your mini boss or your regular monsters be like 100k or something like that. And then when you get a boss, it's like 500 or like 5 mil rather. So like doing double damage to the regular monsters. So you take the damage that you're doing to the regular monsters and you're doubling it for the bosses. Does that mean that you're now doing 200k rather than 100k, which would basically be nothing to a... We'll have to see. We're going to have to try it. We're going to have to find out like how that works. But let's talk about Demonologist. Okay, Demonologist got a buff in the last update. It's been running rampant all over the meta. I absolutely love Demonologist. It was a card that I thought was really, really cool, really unique. The only other card, other than maybe Clock of Power, which is what we'll talk about, the only other card that actually affected the other player's board, you got Shaman, which is probably still the most annoying card in the game, even though it's not super strong anymore. Demonologist, you can put monsters on the other side of your board. So really, really cool mechanic. They got a buff, and it was all over the meta. So let's talk about what they're doing to Demonologist now. After a recent update, the Demonologist got a major buff and took it to its rightful place in your decks. A series of new decks have appeared, like the one with Hex and Boreas. That awaits for just the right moment and allows you to set loose your own mini bosses, and that's cool. That's cool. It is cool. According to your statistics, the mechanic of spawning an elite monster and getting a lot of mana when it dies was slightly too effective. So we decided to change the following stats. Initial mana received for monsters in PvP is now 75 rather than 100. And summoned monsters now have less health. I really didn't feel like we were getting too much mana through Demonologist. It still wasn't all that effective of a mana production unit. Like, Vampire is definitely better for mana than Demonologist. Monsters' health, yeah, I could see it. There's times that I'm just like, man, I can't even try and get through all these monsters. So, Monsters' health, I don't really mind that nerf. I hope Demonologist stays around. I think the mana is a little bit unnecessary. The monster's health, I can understand how they see that. Going from, I think what it is when the devs see a unit that's literally never been used to a unit that's in like 60% of the decks, it's a pretty good indication that maybe it should be balanced, right? You had a bad card, you buffed it, now you got to balance it. That's kind of how it should work, right? It shouldn't be bad card, buff, crazy good card, nerf, out of the meta. That doesn't help anybody. That's not fun. So buff it into the meta, balance it to have it be, you know, useful but not overpowered. I like it. Last thing we're going to talk about here, Clock O Power. Depending on the mode, this unit reduces or increases the attack speed of other players' units. In co-op, it increases your partner's attack speed. In PvP, it decreases your opponent's attack speed. This is a very powerful effect that was hard to achieve in battle as it required you to have several clocks at various merge ranks. Exactly. One of the main reasons I never play it in co-op is because if you're going to increase, if you wanted a Clock of Power to increase the attack speed of, say, a max Demon Hunter, you needed an also max Clock of Power, and then every other varying merge rank. Didn't really make sense. So we decided to simplify it and make the following changes. I haven't read this yet. I think I know what they're going to do. The Clock of Power now affects units of all merge ranks. The unit's effectiveness now grows with merge rank. So how much you're decreasing the opponent's attack speed grows with as you merge from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But It decreases all units. Power now affects units of all merge ranks. So every single unit on the other person's board is now decreased. That's crazy. The question is, does it stack? If you have 5 clocks of power on your board, decreasing their Boreas attack speed, does it now shoot like a catapult? Does it stack? Don't know if it stacks. That's a really crazy rework. Let's go back through. Let's just check it. Catapult got a buff. Stasis got a buff. Corsair got a buff. Meteor got a buff. Demonologist got a mini nerf. And Clock of Power got a rework and a massive buff. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Which card are you most excited about? Which deck are you guys going to try out? Clock of Power, I have never made a PvP deck with Clock of Power. It might be the time to do so. That is really, really crazy. I am very, very excited about this new update. And I'm interested to see what kind of decks are going to come into the meta, because seriously, it'll be really, really interesting. And I really do hope that some of these buffs are going to make it so that when we use these cards, we do have an actual fighting chance against some of these better Inquiz decks. But with that Demonologist nerf, that was in a lot of Inquiz decks, so it should be interesting. But that's going to be the end of this YouTube video, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will check you guys out in tomorrow's video.